3 is the future.
Welcome, crew, to What Are Your Three, a Channel 3 podcast where we take a member of the Channel 3 community, discuss 3 games of their choosing, go through some honorable mentions and some other odds and ends for a nice little video game discussion. I'm Dan Tucker, and with us both before his recording break, and I guess you got C3CS to get through, but Ray's on the precipice of vacation. This is it. This episode's the last one. We're taking 2 weeks for Christmas, and we'll be back in 2025. But this is it before it. But Ray's,
is this the last one?
This is good to know. The one we recorded yesterday is going to be the middle of January.
Yeah, no, my wife was asking me. She's like, "Are you recording next Sunday?" I was like, "I don't know.
Nope.
I don't know."
Nope. That's it. We're done until whenever we sort through for the other stuff we're working on. We have episode 101 in the tank. We just got other stuff to work on.
That's true. Just numbers. Numbers are made up.
It gets weird. We use spreadsheets. That's all.
The points don't matter. Ticket redemption. We got ticket redemption tonight as our guest brings a returning guest. It is Darth Smeagol. Smeagol, how are you doing in what is tonight for us, but what is morning for you, basically?
Hey guys, good to be here again. Thanks for having me back.
We're happy to have you back. It's good to have you because we've done a couple of these now where we have people coming back and the lists dramatically change of the games that are talked about. It's just it's all of a sudden it's a new conversation, kind of new topic, new direction. And so with all that new, I'm looking, it's funny because this list of yours is almost it almost is new, but it's old. It's this is the old Smeagol. It's like old Smeagol versus new Smeagol. This is how I'm going to view the list.
His name is Smuggle with the first one, not Smeagol.
That was first game. First game is just 3D Mario. We're going to toss it all in there. Of course, we started with Mario 64. 1996, new graphics. We've got the voice actor. We got the start of this new Mario generation. And you turn on the Nintendo 64. And what are your thoughts?
I was just blown away by the change to 3D. And just being able to go and explore this world just blew my mind as a kid. It was so much fun.
And it's funny because, brand new, right? 3D, you're moving the polygons. For me, it's always the colors. That's always the first thing that stands out to me with Mario 64 is how bright the game is, which is to me a real contrast from even the Super Nintendo. There's it almost feels slightly pale, and that's not in a bad way because I think the Super Nintendo is amazing, but it almost feels pale compared to we go 3D and we get these big time colors. I recognize those colors anywhere now. It's the only time I do well in Enhance is when I see Mario colors in it.
Oh yeah, those stand out so clear compared to it's see those bright colors. Oh, that's a Nintendo game.
Compared to what would you say? Compared to say Crash Bandicoot colors, Ray? Is that? I feel like you're taking specific shots here, Ray.
Listen, first of all, I'm never good at Enhance, but when we get into these series, I'm extra terrible, especially one like that. I didn't play the Crash Bandicoot series, so I don't even know the names of the titles.
Smeagol, I want you to just mark it down now. He's going to break something. He's going to smash his phone or break a keyboard or smash a mouse this week. There will be something. There's something coming this week that he is going to smash something as a result of Enhance.
And I don't look at them.
I can't wait.
I could look at them and I don't.
No, yeah, he has the ability to see it behind the scenes, but there's going to be a day this week he's going to lose his mind. He won't be the only one. There will be others who lose their mind. He's going to lose his mind this week, and I'm dying to tell somebody. I can only do it in this time capsule where people will hear afterwards that he's going to lose his mind. So when they see him explode in the chat, they'll know why.
All right. What's your favorite level?
Hold on. Wait. I got to derail you one more time. That was not a new Mario voice.
Was it not?
No.
What did the great Charles Martinet do first?
Mario teaches typing.
Is there a voice in that? Let me tell you.
Yes.
Let me tell you. I did not play. I have never played Mario.
I feel like there's something else in there
Me
too,
neither.
but I know Mario teaches typing, and I don't remember why I knew that. It was something for Channel 3 I looked up one time. But I know for sure he did Mario teaches typing, and there may have been something else in there too, but they snuck that one in there too.
Here I am looking. Mario's in 1991 he earned that's when he earned it apparently. That's when he started working for it in 1991. The 3 Mario Head. Years.
I need to find some way to get Jube to put in both Mario
Dan's
64
right. Nope. Dan
and
is
Mario
correct.
teaches
Mario.
typing.
That's the one. Mario teaches typing. That was the first one in the CD version, 1994. Formerly debuted in Mario's Game Gallery. In
so there was something else in there. I knew there was something.
Two. Mario teaches typing, Mario's Game Gallery, and then Mario 64. Obviously, the one that people know.
Yeah, the one that
most.
counts, not the other nonsense.
Yeah, but there was 2. You were right. There are 2 others. All right, favorite level. Super Mario 64. Favorite level. Let's go there.
Oh, it's tough to narrow down. I think off the top of my head, and I can't think of the name of the level right now. The one with the cement block at the top. You have to jump on the X on his back.
Is that the sky level, the second one, or like
is that the second level with the tower?
Yeah, and then it's like recreated again in Mario Galaxy.
That would be Womp's Fortress.
Yeah, that's it.
Mom's Fortress. Okay, yeah. It's and it's one of the smaller levels, more vertical. It's a vertical level. That's actually the better way to say it.
Yeah.
Not that small. That is vertical. Favorite power: invisible, flight, or metal?
I would say metal. I mean, my biggest problem with flying is sometimes it can be hard to control. But so I'd say the metal one is probably most fun in that particular game.
I feel like I've talked about this on. I'm sure I've talked about it on another episode, and I may have said a different power, but like today I was thinking about it, and I think metal. Metal was the cool one. It shows up in Super Smash Brothers. With this silly little boss, you get to play Metal Mario. But here's one theme as I'm going to jump through other 3D Mario games that I was thinking about that Nintendo loves to do. I will call them callbacks. A more cynical person may call them reused assets, but I'm going to call them callbacks. Mario 64, you get the flight power, which just is Super Mario World's flight instead of a cape as a habit. It's the same concept. You have, you kind of up and down. And Invisible Cap gives you Star Power theme song, which does not exist because there's no Star Power in the game. So, I will call those callbacks. Someone may say reuse, but I like callback because I think Nintendo actually does it on purpose like that. Dan, you got thoughts on that? Dan shaking his head.
No, I'm not touching that. No, I already derailed this enough, and I'm like, I don't want to derail this any further. I'm just waiting until we get to Super Mario Land on the 3DS to jump in and start asking questions.
Let me tell you, I don't
think
too much.
There's too much he's smuggling in here for this to.
Well, listen, I'm going to talk about it this way because I'm asking the questions. I'm asking about 64, and now I'm gonna jump and talk about Odyssey now because to me. Like I'm thinking on the two. These are the 2 bookends of 3D Mario games. This is the way I'm looking at it. So I mean, you loved Odyssey, right? This is like the top of Mario for you.
Oh, this game is fantastic. I beat it completely. Got all the moons, though. The jump rope and volleyball moons were especially frustrating. But no, it's right up there for me. I debate back and forth on which is my favorite Mario, 3D Mario anyways. Obviously Super Mario World's the GOAT. But as far as 3D Mario, I debate between Super Mario 64 and Odyssey. I think I have to give the edge to Super Mario 64 just because it's timeless. I can go back and replay it again and again. It's always the same fun I had. I need to replay Odyssey again at some point and see if it holds up as well and repeat playthroughs like Super Mario 64 does, but it's so close. Just the exploration, that they brought back to the franchise after a few games of just feeling a little more linear in nature, just bringing that exploration back. Kind of reminded me of the collectathons of the N64 era, which were my favorites.
Do you have the same problem I do where both of those games look the same in your head? And then you open 64 up, you're like, wait, no, this doesn't look like Mario Odyssey.
First of all, Mario Odyssey is everything that they wanted Super Mario 64 to be. Because Super Mario 64, you have to jump back into the painting in between each level. And Odyssey was like, no, you don't need to jump in. Like, you got Star, great. Keep going. We'll just open up the piece of the world now that you would do when you choose a new level. Like, to me, they're almost the same game. It's just, Odyssey is just a better graphics version of it.
Like 10 times the version. Yeah, there's just 10 times as much of it.
It's more, there's more in it.
Because I've been waiting for Super Mario 64 sequel for decades, and Odyssey finally was the first one that felt like it was a sequel to Super Mario 64.
Yeah, there wasn't a gimmick like you had for the other two big ones in between.
Mario, this one has a hat. You are throwing the hat in this one.
That's true. There is a gimmick to it, but it's not like Galaxy, you're talking about you're messing with the forces of gravity. And we don't talk about Sunshine on this podcast, so
I don't care about Sunshine.
What? Sunshine is great.
Sunshine, listen.
Hey, check I think you're breaking up again, Smeagol. I can't hear you. Keep going. Just keep going.
I've said it once. I'm going to say, and I've said it 1,000 times. So you can't give me a game that is based on a gimmick, which is fine. Like, fine, water cannon. The game is about this. We're going to clean up the island. Totally cool. And then make it so that I have to beat other types of levels that don't involve the water cannon to actually progress the game.
When the vulture steals your hat and you have to get it back with the water cannon.
I don't need the hat. The vulture can have the hat the whole game. I don't have to have the hat because they're not going to hit me. They'll want, I take extra damage. It's okay. I can flip over everything. I don't need the hat. I've left the hat many times.
This is my note. This is my note in here to extract Ray yelling, "It's okay."
I don't need it.
That's to use the GIF that appeared today. That's the quote. That's the GIF I have to extract of Ray. That's okay. That's okay.
But I don't need it. I don't need it. And it's I have to go through these like obnoxiously difficult platforming stages where you fall off because everyone wants to complain about the movement in Mario 64 and everything. I fall off all the time in Sunshine.
I was playing Sunshine last night and I was saying the same thing. Like, people complain and gripe about the camera in Mario 64. Try playing Sunshine. The camera, especially in those levels, can be infuriating.
No, Sunshine's movement is not good. It's not. They put the GameCube graphics, but it's not. It doesn't move. It doesn't move as nicely as it's supposed to move.
I hate that it doesn't have the long jump. So many times I'm just so used to being able to just jump forward, and it doesn't have that. It's like, because of it.
Slowly float with your water cannon instead, and don't make it as far as you need to.
I mean, I still really enjoy the game, but it definitely isn't as good as most of the other 3D Mario games.
Not big on it. All right, give me what's your best, either if you have a level in Odyssey that you really enjoyed, or even an outfit or an object or animal that Mario takes over. What?
It's so much fun taking over the T-Rex. I mean, it's just so out there, but it's just so cool just to be able to just take over this T-Rex and just destroy the island. I think that was just seeing that in the trailer, just like, wow, this is a completely new direction for Mario, and obviously it's a limited opportunity to take over the T-Rex, but it was just a cool experience, and so I think that's part of why that world stands out for me more than a lot of the others.
There's something to the first stage, because to me, I think I've said before that I like the basement levels in Mario 64, but Super Mario games just do such a great job with their level ones. That
one's level 2, I think, technically.
Technically because of the hat, because you go to the cap world first. But like those opening worlds for Mario games, I think are so good, and so like I'm just always a fan of them.
Plus, you play them more theoretically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What all right, so we went to 64, went to Odyssey. Any 3D games in the middle there that you want to say something about before we jump on?
I also really enjoy the Galaxy games. I mean, it was took a little getting used to with the controls. You know, the Wiimote and Nunchuck is not the most intuitive controller design.
Not for a Mario game.
Definitely not. But once you get over that learning curve, the Galaxy games were just some stellar platforming. And the Grandmaster Galaxy Perfect Run has got to be the most satisfying Mario level I've ever completed.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. The Mario Galaxy and just the Wii in general, the whole idea is that we were going to make games fun. Like, even when I'm talking about Super Smash Brothers, like to me, Brawl was like all in on fun, competitive, and we'll just like that part doesn't really matter. Like to me, Galaxy is the most fun, like made for fun of the games. Doesn't have to be the most difficult. It's just like just have a good time with the Nintendo Wii. Basically, that's always how I think of Mario Galaxy.
It's interesting too. I learned not too long ago that Mario Galaxy 2 was actually originally just supposed to be DLC for Mario Galaxy, but they just kept running with it, had more ideas, and so they end up making a full game.
I love when Nintendo devs just start running with things.
Oh yeah,
Like I think they just come up with great stuff. I'm a Nintendo homer, and I'm not ashamed to say it.
well, I think that's kind of what happened too with Bowser's Fury. I mean, it's just they took a concept, ran with it, and it gets a little frustrating at times, but it's a fun little mini Mario game, I guess you could call it.
And it looks great. It's got like this weird. It's got like this weird. I don't even know what it is. Kind of like shining color to it. It looks cool. I don't know how to, glossy. I don't know how to describe it correctly. But
yeah, there's a gloss to it. Like they give it a sheen. It's like a photo. It's like it's not the matte finish. It is the glossy finish.
So it's just cool.
All right, on to game number 2, Meatbag. Let's talk about the 4.5 rated Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Star Wars meeting an RPG. I assume this was the reason you got an Xbox at some point?
It wasn't the reason I got an Xbox, but after I got an Xbox, it was eventually one of the first games I picked up was KOTOR. Originally, it was Jedi Academy is one that came with it, which I talked about last time. But it wasn't long before I got KOTOR and just fell in love with the game.
So what was it that caught your attention for it? I mean, obviously, listen, Star Wars. We know you're going to be in for that.
Yeah.
Like, what was the hook? Because there have been a lot of Star Wars games that like they don't have a hook.
There's been a lot of bad Star Wars games too.
I was trying to be.
Listen, as someone who's not a Star Wars fan and would play a couple, like if it's cool, there's a lot of bad ones in between that.
A month from when people hear this episode and they hear me losing my mind on last night's episode, they'll understand why I was trying to be like nice. It's like a reverse thing in time. But anyway, yeah, no, there were a lot of bad Star Wars games, but this one's not one of them. How did they?
Oh, definitely not. I think really it's just the narrative. It just grabs your attention, and I'm not an RPG guy, which is why I was reluctant to even play this game to begin with. I remember in college, a friend of mine had the game. He was playing through it, and he's like, I would watch him play some of it, and he was like, "Are you okay with me, spoiling the game?" He's like, "I'm like, I don't care. I'm never gonna play this anyways." So I had the big plot twist spoiled for me, but eventually, just my love for Star Wars drew me to this game, and I had to play it. And it's the only RPG I've ever finished.
Were you an expanded universe guy? So was this Old Republic era familiar to you, or was this something that you were diving into for the first time?
I believe this was the first time the expanded universe went into the Old Republic.
See, I'm not. I didn't. That's okay.
Oh, I'm big into the expanded universe, especially that era. I've actually been reading some of the Old Republic books, the novels recently. But yeah, KOTOR was the first foray into that. Then you had some books that were set around the timeline of the Old Republic MMORPG. And then you also have a little bit later, which was written by the same guy that wrote KOTOR. You have the Darth Bane trilogy, which was a great set of books. But yeah, I just eat that stuff up.
Yeah, you know, it's so weird. Like, it just hit me now while you were saying all of that. Like, oh, this released in the middle of the prequel trilogy.
Yeah, it was like 2003
It's
or
like
something
oh
like
three
that.
oh, or yeah, it's like it had to be at the latest. It's 04, but it had to be it's 03 because it was still the original Xbox, and it wasn't long before the 360 came out. So yeah, this thing was out by then for sure. So you're in the midst of the prequel trilogy. This is before Revenge of the Sith. So you're just like this is a second wave of Star Wars, basically.
And I would say too, like, it was a bit of a renaissance too, I think, for Star Wars at that time, obviously, and the narrative of this one really, the story really reached the peaks that was set by the original trilogy. Like, to me, like, the three greatest Star Wars stories told is the original trilogy, KOTOR, and the original Thrawn trilogy of books, which is, in my mind, the real episode 7, 8, 9.
I'm ignoring it. We're not doing this today. I'm in no mood. Again, I'm in no mood. I'm recovering from incidents that occurred last night, so I'm not doing this with you now. But I will just gently instead segue into the karma system, which was a big thing for the Xbox. It was much like Shenmue brought in QuickTime events that proceeded to enter into gaming everywhere. The Xbox was at the forefront of karma and decision based action. So I have to ask, so your first playthrough, what was your karma? What did your karma look like?
My, I said before, this is the only RPG I finished. I've actually played it 3 times, and my first 2 were both light side. And then I finally did do dark side. But
Did you feel like you were lying to yourself?
I thought with light side, because that was the canonical story.
Okay.
That's what I wanted to go with.
How much different? I never looked into it. What the dark side version of this looks like. What are the differences with the dark side version besides like skills and whatnot?
So light side and dark side, the biggest impact during the majority of the game is just which force powers, how much force points it costs to use force powers. So when you're fully aligned to the light, then the dark force powers cost a whole lot more to use, and vice versa. And then the end of the game is really where the story diverges. But for the most part, obviously there's little things that change based on light side and dark side choices. And regardless of what alignment you want, you can still make, even if you're playing a light side character, like those first 2 playthroughs, I still did the assassin quests, even though they were dark side points, because you got some pretty cool loot for them. So you can still do some dark side things from time to time when you're a light side character, and vice versa.
Right, to translate, that's the using the Avada Kedavra.
I understand Star Wars. I know the basics.
I had to catch you up there. Anything else? So, like, this was another game where customization was big too. I feel like you really got to like customize your saber and do some stuff with that. That like just I felt like it brought me into it more, I should say.
Yeah, because you can find all these different crystals that impact your lightsaber. Then eventually you can choose whether you want to have 1 lightsaber, 2 lightsabers, double bladed. Which I always used to do the 2 usually.
Is there something specific? Is just like the bringing you into the world that brought you back to playing an RPG 3 times?
It's just, the story is just so enveloping that I just want to play it again. And again, like, it's rare. Like, it's the only RPG I've ever finished. Yeah, I played this one multiple times. So the story, HK-47 is just like one of the greatest NPC characters ever. Him calling you meatbag all the time is great.
What's the worst that can happen when you take off the restraining bolt?
Those were some of my favorite side quests, was just unlocking HK-47 and unlocking his memories and finding more about his former masters, which you end up being one of them.
You probably know better than I do. This is not one I've created a completion tagline for, is this?
No, I think there is.
Is there one? I got to figure out how to work meatbag in somehow. We need a meatbag tagline now. I'll have to look into that. Note to self: Meatbag tagline. Okay.
Yeah, there's a Knight of the Old Republic tagline for beating KOTOR.
What did I make it?
Just Knight of the Old Republic.
Oh, okay, that's good too. Yeah, I gotta do Meatbag somewhere. All right. Any other parting thoughts for Knights of the Old Republic?
It was just fun to just a different things you do like this. You have the little card game that you could play. It was just that was a fun distraction. The swoop bike races just give you a little change of pace. Though I will say, playing those on iPad is not fun.
God, you played the mobile?
Well, I bought KOTOR on my iPad. That's the
this
my
is
dark
real
side
psycho
playthrough.
behavior early
It's on
on.
iPad, and well, because it had the Yavin Space Station. Like I had it on Xbox. I didn't have the Yavin Space Station. I always wanted to see what this little mini world was, and I had some gift cards for iTunes. Like, you know what? It's only like $5. I'll go ahead and buy it, play it on there, so I could finally see this Yavin Space Station and get some of the cool items there.
That was early in iPad days too. Like they were not ready for these things then.
And playing the swoop bike races with touch controls is infuriating. Like I said, it took me I think like 3 hours to beat the Tatooine swoop bikes. Because again, I got to go for 100% completion here.
Hang on, I need to answer this question. Yeah, 2013 the iOS version released, and 2014 the Android version did. Like that's still early days of those things in the grand scheme of things. This is good God, why?
That's when Apple products were still better. Were coming out and we're actually up to date technology.
That's debatable. All right, well, I'm going to move away from the Apple Android comment and just say like this was a real high point for nerddom. Like I think Smeagol and I are around the same age classification, unlike Ray, and like Ray grew up in a time where you didn't have to worry about battles of Star Wars or Star Trek are getting shoved into a locker. Like 03 at Harry. Yeah, everything was firing full force. Harry Potter, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, everything's just flying out there. The nerds are rising. It becomes mainstream monoculture.
It was not mainstream culture.
Compared to what it was in the 80s and 90s, yes, it was.
I'm comparing it to my students now. It is mainstream.
Now it's not even a separate bucket from everything else. No. It was, but it became accepted culture in the early aughts, unlike what it was in the 90s and the 80s. Anyway, but we're moving over to the Lord of the Rings: Return of the King.
I saw that movie.
Great movie.
But you're picking the game, not the movie. So why did you pick the game?
Partly because of the movie, to be honest. The Lord of the Rings trilogy is like right up there with the original Star Wars trilogy for me. A little bit sidetracked, but like the movies are great. Like a few years ago for my birthday, I did a binge watch of all 3 extended editions in one day. And Return of the King is just a fantastic movie. And so then you get to this game and being able to basically play the movie. It's really one of those rare examples of movie to video game adaptation done well. Like there haven't been a lot of them, and vice versa.
That was a high point for them. Like that point between Two Towers, Return to the King, Spider-Man, and Spider-Man 2 were in that year. Like it really lulled us into thinking we had a false sense of security because it went back downhill after that again too. So
yep,
but that was a strong period of time for it. So was this more your genre from a gaming perspective around that time? Yeah, obviously, listen, Mario's always there and platforming's always there, but this was a much more action-oriented game.
Yeah, so like I said, platforms, that's my main go-to genre, but I've also been, especially as I got older, got more into the third-person action games, and this really fit right in there. And I mean, you could obviously you got difficulty levels, but usually I think with this one, at the time I was just interested in playing on easy and just going through and just hacking my way through and just enjoying the game, enjoying playing the movie.
Had you played the Two Towers also, or was this just like I'm going for Return to the King or got a hold of it at some point?
I wasn't when I got this one. I don't think I was even aware of the Two Towers game. I just ended up. I don't remember how I got this game, but ended up getting it. And I eventually did get Two Towers
The game
2
was
years
forged
ago.
in secret and delivered to you by a more powerful entity that held a dark secret. No, oh,
I did eventually get Two Towers. It's on my backlog. I need to eventually go back and play it, but no, just somehow this is one I was aware of. This is one I got. I don't know if it was a gift or what. I don't remember, but just really enjoyed playing through it.
folks, enjoy your quest today of answering what game did you play that you had no idea where it came from, because this is. I feel like this has
There
come
you
up a
go.
few times. Like it came up during Saffron's conversation in 2 weeks ago episode. Now I guess as you're listening to this, but like there are games that just appear for people. You don't know where they came from. You know, you're an adult by that point. That's the funny part. It's not like I know there were games that appear when I was a kid that I'm like, I don't know where this came from, but I'm sure my dad had something to do with it. But like there are other times you're like, I don't know where this game came from. Maybe like a friend lent it to me and just or like left it here. I don't know, but the game just appeared.
It's not that it appeared. It's just I don't remember if I bought it for myself or if it was a gift. I'm just, simple as that.
It just appeared. Yeah, or again, forged by a dark power and gifted to you in secret. Who was your main? Who was your main when you played?
So I checked playing it this morning, and I checked my old save file, and so based off that, I would have to say it was Gandalf and Legolas because they were the only ones that I had level all the way up to level 15, and then Aragorn was 13. So those must have been my main ones back then.
And you had, Gimli was the other option to play with, right?
So the original ones you could play as were Gandalf, Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, Sam, and Frodo, and then you could eventually unlock Merry, Pippin, and Faramir.
I did not remember that you could unlock. I did not remember the hobbits being played in. It's mostly like one running thing for me between the Two Towers game where I think you just have Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas.
Yeah,
So-
I was reading a little bit about Two Towers, and yeah, there was a very limited cast of characters you could play as, whereas with Return of the King, they opened up, they added more. Like I said, you get the 3 you can unlock, and once you've beaten the game, you can go back and replay all the levels as any of the characters.
Yeah, that's just. Sorry, it's just weird playing as Frodo in that. That feels dirty and wrong. So I got nothing here. All right, well, on to let's move into your honorable mentions, and the first one up here. Speaking of your third person action games, The Last of Us, 4.7 rated. One person rated a 3 with a just not for me, which I both kind of respect, and I want to activate the Mad Bomb Chew flipping the table gif. But again, I get listen. This is not a game for everybody. But
No, it's not.
again, my non-gamer wife enjoyed watching this one, as you're well aware. So I gotta respect the hustle here, people. But anyway, all right, 4.7. Still, it's strong. It's a strong one. So anyway, was this a PS3, PS4? Where did you jump in here?
I initially got it on PS3. I was very late to PlayStation. My brother was, an early adopter of the PlayStation. He got the PS1, PS2. I didn't end up getting PlayStation until PS3 until the very end. I think PS4 was already out by the time I got a PS3. And I got it because of Naughty Dog. I got it because of Uncharted, got it because of The Last of Us. So played through it on there, and then shortly after got a PS4. So went out, got it again for PS4, and played it again.
It was a nice
on PS4.
it was a nice upgrade that was worth it.
Oh, it was. And having the DLC, which I didn't have with the PS3 version, so getting to play that too was a nice little added bonus. Made it worthwhile picking up.
Yeah, it was a big jump between, because that was an end of life cycle PS3 game. I did not play it, and I think I picked it up on the 3, but that was again like moving in Kidborn territory, and then finally got to it on the 4, and it's like, oh, this is way better on the 4. Forget that nonsense. So yeah, that was a nice upgrade there. So listen, this is probably one of the we're actually not that far off from season 2 premiere. Is it April? I think is the word on the street, or I don't think it's January. I think it's April. So Last of Us is like a narrative gaming mascot or whatever. I don't know what the phrase I'm looking for is right now, but again, breaching the monoculture of, beyond just the capacity for gamers. So obviously this is an all-time story at this point. Is that what hooked you? Or, again, you're coming in for Naughty Dog, you've played the Uncharted series. Is it just like Uncharted is there and you're like, oh, Naughty Dog made this also? Or how did you say it's time for The Last of Us?
A friend of mine had it, and obviously I loved Uncharted, so I tried this out a little bit, and I was like, wow, it was a really good game. So eventually, when I got a PS3 myself, that's when I went on and got able to play through it myself. But part of being not part of it's just the story. I mean, it really just right from that opening chapter where you're playing as Sarah, and totally lost as to what's going on, and it just hooks you, that story. And of course, obviously, Joel tragically losing his daughter right at the beginning, and then finding this new adoptive daughter in Ellie. That story just hooks you.
Masterpiece and tutorial levels as well. You get to learn.
Sure.
All the basics you need to know. You're not playing as your main character. It just introduces you to the world smoothly and effectively, and then just literally blows that world up. You'll never forget. So much they had to just recreate it for the show. They driving by the burning barn and all the other nonsense happening around town, just like everything's flipping upside down radically for you. You're just like, run, car accident. You don't know where everybody's at, just trying to get out of there, and just chaos everywhere. It's a great opening to a game.
Yeah, great way to kind of, because I don't think a game would have worked great if your entire time was set really the beginning of the apocalypse. So having that nice tutorial to start off, show you a little bit of how it started, and then the jump forward in time.
I can't figure out. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I don't know how they're able to just rip everything away, and then make you oh, you still want to play this? Yeah, here we just murdered this character's daughter. And here you're gonna let's go. We just murdered a kid in the game. Let's go have fun now. In this bleak post-apocalyptic world years later. I don't know what. I don't know how they managed to pull that magic trick on us, but they. Now, I have a question. One question I had that I was thinking about when we were talking about Resident Evil 4 in a recent episode. This game had me terrified to play it because I was thinking of the Resident Evil 4s of the world and the Golden Eyes of just terrible escort missions.
Oh.
And did you have concerns about this game being just one giant? It shifted the idea of what an escort mission is. Obviously it became no, you don't have to protect her. The game will just take care of her. But how did you process having that? Because I know that was tough for me to that was a hurdle for me to overcome of it's just one big escort mission. I'm going to hate this.
I don't think it was ever an issue for me because, again, I came from Uncharted, and Naughty Dog had already proved they knew how to have competent AI in the Naughty Dog series. And so going to this one, you don't really have to protect Ellie. I mean, there might be the occasion, I think, where you have to come to her aid, but for the most part, she's competent, and she actually will, help with the distraction. I mean, there are definitely times where you're doing stealth, and it's clearly they should see Ellie, and I'm grateful that the programmers, programmed in such a way that they're totally ignoring her, because it would be very frustrating if they spotted her when you had no control over her.
Oh yeah, I remember the first time you're in a store, get behind the counter, get behind the. Oh no, okay, they don't see her. Okay, good. The game's not going to penalize me for dumb AI. Good.
Yeah, they definitely handled a whole lot better than Ashley in Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, again, that was the end point of bad AI escort missions. I think it was over there. So, what there are a lot of iconic scenes in this game, several jumping to mind for me. What's the one that just sticks out for you? When you think about this game, what's the Rorschach test of what comes to mind for you with this game?
One thing that always comes to my mind is, I guess you call it a subplot of Ish. It just showed how much world building Naughty Dog put into the game. So it's after you escape from Pittsburgh. To say you're still in the outskirts, but you escape Pittsburgh and you go down into the sewers and you start finding all these little notes and stuff of this little community that Ish built. He had been out at sea for a while. tried to, escape the apocalypse out there as long as he could. Found around supplies, had to come to shore. Tried to keep himself. Eventually, found a few other survivors, and gradually they started building this small little community together. And so, reading about it, and then seeing how eventually it sadly blew up. Eventually infected got in, everyone was, killed, but just that world building, the amount of effort, I guess, and care they put into really building out the franchise, building out the story, just has always stuck with me.
Real FromSoft show don't tell with that too.
Yes. Oh yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I think that's one of the things that bugged me about the show. There's one episode in particular with Bill, and they did like this whole episode devoted to Bill and his backstory, and it's like, why? I don't care. Like, you know, I
They
wanted
did it to give you the point that it wasn't just all down and dour, that there was something worth fighting for in the world. That was what it was for.
I didn't need the backstory. Just like if I would have been annoyed if they had fleshed out and done a whole backstory episode with Ish. I'd rather just have it in my mind of what it might have been.
Yeah, you didn't need another. We didn't need another kick in the teeth backstory with Ish. Not when you have. There's enough of those running around in the show and the game.
Yeah, and it just kind of pulled me from the show, having that whole backstory episode. Bill I thought was best in small doses anyways in the game, so I really didn't feel like his character deserved a full backstory. If anyone, I would rather had someone like Tess have a backstory. Since we're talking about the show, I might as well bring this up. Show was great. Like, it's one of the better adaptations, but at the same time, it's like I was also a little disappointed in that there were very few actual encounters with infected. Like, especially compared to the game. Like, in the game, it's probably about half and half, the encounter between infected and humans. But based on the show, it's like they barely ever see the infected.
Yeah, it was like a 30-40%. It was more humans or garbage.
I think there was like the one big one in Pittsburgh, outside of Pittsburgh, but that's really only. I would love to see more of that in the show. Is more battles with the infected.
Fair enough.
All right, so we go second honorable mention, Fortnite, which is just that's not your game, right? That's not your game. Growing up playing games,
Nope.
never did Smeagol say I'm gonna play a live action third person shooter. And now here you are. Tell us about your Fortnite journey.
See, to be honest, I never would have played Fortnite if it wasn't for Channel 3. And really, it was because I wanted to get involved in the party nights. I'd already been playing Fall Guys for a few weeks by that point, I think. And I was like, I'll give Fortnite a chance. And it definitely wasn't a game that seemed like one that I would enjoy. But I was like, I'll give it a try. And so I download it, and I'm there for party night, and I'm trying to get into the custom game, and it won't let me. I think it might have been too because it was a brand new account. I hadn't even played any matches yet, but I kept getting an error saying it wouldn't let me join. I was like, well, forget it. I guess I'm not playing this game. And then I think it had been like a few weeks later, there was a quest for defeating NPC Vader in game. And Joel had made a post saying if anyone that was new to the game needed help doing that quest, let him know and he'd help him. So I think, what? Cool, an opportunity to play Fortnite with the founder himself. So I messaged him and worked out a time, and so I jumped in the game with him and his son, and we did that and we won our first 3 games. And of course, just the kind of guy Joel is, he's like, wow, this is great. We've never done this before. 3 in a row. Of course, he doesn't tell me that it's all bot lobbies. But that's just kind of guy he wants to build your confidence. It's something we can learn later date that it's all bots to begin with. But that was the start, and and then not long after that, came Epic Friends with Thunderpump, and he really took me under his wing and really showed me the ropes on how to play the game. And so I credit a lot to him because I don't know if I'd be nearly as good as I am at the game if it wasn't for him. And I don't know if I'd still be playing if he hadn't taken that interest in showing me the ropes.
So, what is it about Fortnite that keeps you playing? Because I mean, after that, you've played, you've played a whole bunch of Fortnite these past 2 years or so. So, what is it about the game that keeps you coming back to it?
It's playing with other people. And when I was first started, like Chapter 3 Season 4 was the first season I played, and I did a fair amount of solos back then. I was still learning the game. I don't remember the last time I played a solo match. That's just not for me. Because to me, the great part about it is just squatting up with friends and having that camaraderie.
Talk about some of the squads, because I know you've had at different times. You had like the morning squad, and then you and Thunderpump played a whole bunch. So talk about like kind of the different groups that you play with.
Oh man, so many groups. So yeah, Thunder was again like the first one who took me under his wing, and then eventually I was playing. I remember Chapter 3 Season 4 was playing a lot with Mamba, Nanner, and 022. Eventually I started doing a lot of morning gaming with Geodad, so he and I still do a lot of duos, switch lobbies for the win. I don't know why, but they definitely help. And Saturday morning crew with Geo, Dennis, sometimes 022, sometimes Westy. Squad up with Cody B, Kelsey B, Buster. I squad up to a Shadow quite a bit, even though he's one of those weird ones that likes builds for some reason. Totally ruined Fortnite, but whatever. Just kidding. It's not my thing. I mean, just too much of a skill gap, I think, with that, and I just can't get the hang of building. I play builds and I don't even map my build bind, but we'll when he and I play, we'll go back and forth and mix it up because we want to be fair to each other because we both like different modes. And I'm sure there's others, but those are the ones that come to mind.
And so, how have you enjoyed this latest season?
I can't say I have.
What's wrong with this? What's wrong with Chapter 6 to you? What's bothering you?
I got so used to the thermal scope, and right now it's so hard to see people across the map. So I'm just getting lit up, and I can't even see where I'm getting shot from. So I think I just got too spoiled with the better ranged weapons. We have that whole chapter of being able to mod weapons and being able to put whatever attachments we want on them. I know there always is a bit of an adjustment. Like I didn't like the beginning of Chapter 5 either. I was annoyed having to do the adjustments, changing the scopes and whatever. Mm-hmm. But eventually I got used to it, and I did really enjoy Chapter 5, except for the car season. But I mean, there's always that change. But so far, Chapter 6 hasn't clicked with me.
Hear me out. What if we put a thermal windshield on the car?
Oh my god! No, there's no version where there's nothing you can do to make that wreck season good. It wasn't. It wasn't. I'm not gonna pretend it was.
It wasn't, but I do appreciate the fact that Fortnite is willing to try things and mix things up. But I'm glad they learned from it and quickly abandoned that after that season because it definitely wasn't something that should have stuck around. I'm here to play Fortnite, not Twisted Metal.
You play any are you playing any of the OG, or have you seen yourself playing more Reload with this newest season?
I could if Chapter 6 doesn't grab me, I can't seem to get into it, then I'll probably will jump over to do some more Reload. I don't see myself getting into OG because again, I don't like to build, don't know how to build really other than maybe put up a wall and panic. And I remember when we had the OG season, that month-long OG season, like that map is really designed for builds.
Yes.
So playing zero build on that, it just isn't very ideal.
No, it doesn't work.
So I can see myself doing Reload. I do enjoy Reload, even though the biggest thing is just not having scope weapons, but at least it's, level playing field in that regards. I do enjoy the Reload when we do it on Sunday nights for our Sunday Night Reloaded.
All right, and tell us what's your I know the answer, but there might be some people who don't know. Give us your top emote.
My the one I go to usually when I win is the banjo. Sitting down in the rocking chair playing the banjo. I just love the banjo. Such a great instrument.
And there we go. If you didn't say that answer, I would have called you a liar right here on the show. If you didn't
But I do have to give shout out as well to Shout and to Never Gonna. Those are also two of my favorite emotes.
That's fair. All right, game number 3, Fall Guys. Fall Guys. I don't know if anybody plays more Fall Guys than you do. Tell me why do you love Fall Guys?
Because I think at its core it's a platformer. I mean, at least for the main parts of the game, like the races that you're running, even a lot of the survival stuff. It's a platform at its core, and platform being my favorite genre, I think that's why I've been able to excel at the game, why I enjoy it, why I keep coming back to it. Again, part of it too is being able to play with other people. It gets tiring quickly just to, play by yourself. Usually if I'm doing by myself, I'll just do the dailies and be done with it. Whereas if I'm playing with people from Channel 3, then I could just keep playing it, for hours.
Do you keep up with this game, like Battle Pass wise at all? Is that something you pay attention to in Fall Guys?
I just did complete the most recent Fame Pass. I think the new one comes out tomorrow. So I don't always. Just depends on, because the Fame Pass and Fall Guys is only like a month long. And so it just depends on if I've been playing more of other games and maybe I won't have time to do as much Fall Guys. But when I can, I do try to complete the Fame Pass, especially with the double XP when you get like the end of the season. It's not too hard to complete a Fame Pass, just so I can get enough show blocks too, because I like to eventually get the Darth Maul and Yoda skin bundle.
What is your favorite courses to play?
Oh, so many good ones. I love the hoverboard ones, but the one that I love more is, I'm trying to remember the name of it. So I think you have Hyperdrive. I think it's Hyperdrive Heroes, I think is what it's called. Yeah, so there's Hoverboard Heroes and Hyperdrive Heroes, and Hoverboard Heroes is great. That's the one that we usually have on Wednesday nights. Mm-hmm. When you're doing customs, that's the only one it has. But there is the other one that they released with the space season,
right?
And where you have the disappearing hexes, you're going through the hoverboard, and I just love that one. Obviously, I love the jump around, jump club, slime climb, slime scraper are great. Just so much fun running those. And pretty much any of the races too are good. It's where you get into like tail tag and that dreaded volley fall where I don't have as much fun.
And so would you ever consider playing this game on mobile now that it is available on mobile now? Could you ever see yourself playing this on a touchscreen as the person that played Knights of the Old Republic on an iPad?
See, the thing though with KOTOR on the iPad is really the only thing that where touch controls were annoying was the swoop bike races. The rest of it is just you're just pointing and clicking. Yeah, playing this on mobile, it's not going to happen.
I agree, and I even tried to play with mouse and keyboard. And I don't understand it. It moves too much. This is.
I'm sorry, Thunder was cutting in, yapping something about Stumble Guys on mobile. We just ignore it.
I attach my I attach my controller to my phone when I play Stumble Guys.
Oh, I have Stumble Guys.
That gets played with a controller.
I had that on my PS4. Like I'm not playing that on mobile. I tried that once. I was like, this is awful.
No, I don't play anything on touchscreen anymore besides Brawl Stars. And that's because it forces me. They don't have a controller option. Otherwise, I'd be playing that too. All right, let's move on now to the future. A game you are looking forward to, which is coming out eventually one day, maybe, supposedly. They keep saying it's happening.
We'll see what Tencent has to say about that.
Yeah, exactly. I know. This news is going to get real
weird by the time this podcast episode comes out next week.
A real mess right now. But, I would welcome if it actually happened, the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake. So I gotta ask first, have you said you were playing some of these old games. Do you have this game?
Yeah, in fact, last week's quest for what game are you playing this week, my answer was Sands of Time. I just started that last week. I'm already like 2/3, 3/4 of the way through. It's a pretty short game. I think it's going to take me about 8 hours or so to finish it. Like for total runtime of the game, it's pretty short.
That's surprising. I don't remember it being that short. Might have been because I was a kid playing it and I'm thinking it was this big game. But you're probably right. Probably
it was like 10% of your life at that point, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so to me it was like humongous on the GameCube. I'm pretty sure I played this on the GameCube.
Yeah, that's how it happened. I was on GameCube.
Yeah. So why this remake? Why is this like the game you're looking forward to above everything else right now?
Partly just because I'm not really aware of many other upcoming games other than remakes. Whether it's this remake, the KOTOR remake, which was my anticipated game last time, which still hasn't come out. Still no idea when that was coming out. Whereas at least this one, like there was at least a year attached to it. But I just really enjoyed Sands of Time, like this playthrough doing. I think it's my third time playing through the game, and it's the puzzle platforming is what really does it for me. The combat, take it or leave it. Again, people complain about the camera in Super Mario 64. Try playing Sands of Time. Like when you're fighting and the camera gets you locked in one spot, you can't see anything. But so the combat itself is okay, but it's the puzzle platforming that does it for me. And I tried doing the sequel. I couldn't get into it at the time. I might give it another chance at some point, but it's like I felt like they tried to overemphasize the fighting in Warrior Within, and it's like you had to learn all these different combos. It's like, no, where's the puzzle platformer that I enjoyed?
Well, yeah, there's no doubt about it. The next two are both way more combat heavy, but that's because that was coming out at the same time as God of War is happening and Dante's Inferno, and
so they're trying to compete with.
It was all they were. It was that era. That was just what was popular. What was the other? The Darksiders. I think that's the one where you play as one of the four horsemen, if I'm remembering the name of the game correctly. And I mean, and if you don't know one from the other, you can barely tell. They're all kind of playing the same way, and that was just what was happening at the time. So a person jumped on with it. But there's no doubt the Sands of Time is different than the next two in that trilogy, for sure. And has a lesser rating. The third one has an M rating. The other one's FT. That was all into that. And one thing on your camera thing, I feel like people don't remember or realize it. The cameras didn't get fixed until like midway through PlayStation 2 and GameCube and stuff. Like early PlayStation 2 game, early GameCube games, that camera was still up in the air. I always go back to like Kingdom Hearts. You go from Kingdom Hearts 1 to Kingdom Hearts 2, you see where they finally figured out how to move a camera correctly. Everyone bags on like Nintendo 64 and PlayStation to a certain degree, but it took a halfway through the next systems for them to figure it out.
And it's like, I totally had forgotten about it, but then playing it again, it's like, oh yeah, this camera is not the greatest.
No, they weren't there yet.
But I mean, it doesn't distract too much from the game. I mean, if the game's so good, you can put up with some annoying camera from time to time.
I agree. It's all part of the skill. How's it dealing with the camera is part of the experience.
All right, well, on to a question from the Channel 3 history books, and we pick for you to discuss. And yours, again, we're going to pull from the future a little bit. No pressure, because by the time this drops, we'll figure out whether you were right or not. What will the Game Awards Game of the Year be? Astrobot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, or Metaphor ReFantazio?
Dan, you missed one there.
No, he didn't.
It says it's DLC here, Ray. This is no, I don't think I missed one, Ray. It says this is DLC. So there's something about Shadow of the Erd Tree, but it says Elden Ring, which came out 2 years ago, and requires you to play half of Elden Ring to do it. So.
I don't think it's gonna win. So
I don't care. I'm gonna just dump on every time I can. I don't care.
The game I want to win is the game I think will win, which is Astrobot. And I hope I am right. I mean, that game just looks fantastic. It is definitely the game I most want to play that I haven't played yet.
Yeah, I think it's a strong. I don't know what Vegas odds are. I doubt Vegas is taking money on something with so much collusion and a shadowy cabal behind it, and something that clearly takes a non-game and or something that nominates two games that were made a quarter of a century ago and says they were the best narrative of this year, and one of those games was only a third of a game technically. But so I'll take shots at Final Fantasy 7 and Silent Hill 2 while I'm at it. Don't worry. But
Dan, I got game odds for you.
What's that?
I got betting odds for you.
Oh, let's run it down. Let's do.
So
we've got producer Ray was in the works. In the intern Ray or producer Ray, whichever one it was in the works.
The sportsbook has Black Myth Wukong heavy favorite to win, which is the only one actually
international favorite there. Huh?
Minus 250 is the heavy favorite.
Are they factoring worked over polls here? Because I want to see bot activity voting for that one.
Well, the thing is that the Black Myth won at the Golden Joysticks, and the two shows have been pretty close together. I ran a whole stats thing on it. They've agreed the last 3 out of 4 years. But Golden Joysticks made a separate category for, I think, DLCs and stuff, and I think either Elden Ring or Final Fantasy took there. So that's there, but they do have Astrobot. Astrobot's second in favorites. Like those two, they have those two as the heavy favorites, either one or the other.
What I want to know though is the Vegas Odd Keepers, are they taking the Channel 3 votes into account?
No,
because they should.
Not even.
Listen, we don't talk about Channel 3 votes anymore. Moving on.
Game of the year, Balatro at plus 1500. By the way, with the lowest odds.
No, so hang on. There's a bad lesson in Balatro. I'm kind of liking this. I'm feeling that.
You go.
What Joker boons do I have to work with here, Ray, for that?
I mean, plus 1500. Just going to toss them a little out there.
Do I get to use Mr. Bones if my bet fails?
Just for the fun of it. Yeah, it's too. I think it's too small. I don't know. Game of the year never goes to like a smallish.
No, it'll run the indie categories.
It Takes Two. Smallest game to win Game of the Year, and
that was still backed by EA. So
I just mean like game size. I just mean like game size too. Like I'm not going to expect a Mario game to win Game of the Year. I think length of game definitely plays a piece of it.
Yeah, I'm feeling the Astrobot wave. I'm with Smeagol.
I'm on that one. I'm on that one too. For some reason I feel Astrobot's going to win. Vegas disagrees, but for some reason. All right. Favorite feature on Channel 3, Smeagol? 2 years later.
It had to be the crew. It's just the friends that I made on Channel 3 these past couple of years. It's just been great. I mean, it's no secret that I work nights, and so getting to hang out with people in real life is not always the easiest thing to do schedule-wise. So just having, people on Channel 3 that I can, hop in, play some games with pretty much any time. It's just been great, great for mental health, and just really appreciate the real bonds of friendship that have formed with various crew members. And so that's easily got to be the best thing about Channel 3, that it's created an atmosphere where I can, meet some great people.
And on that note, we've made it to the end of another What Are Your Three podcast. Thank you, Darth Smeagol, for being back on. And you can find the podcast at c3.gg/podcast, dropping every Wednesday morning at 3:33 a.m. Eastern on all the major platforms, including Spotify, YouTube Music, and Apple Podcasts. I'm Ray. Dan puts this all together. Our theme song. It's the end of the year. It's the last one.
He's on the verge of vacation.
I'm going on vacation. Castor Garden plays the theme song. Check him out on Spotify. Make sure you go on Bandcamp. Castor Garden makes everything sound good.
His Itch.io pack too.
Let me tell you,
not being done hostage by a freaking dumb statue company.
That's gonna be a timestamp right there when you guys listen to this in January. We're complaining.
No, this one's next week. We're good.
Good next week because we talk about the website going down. I saw that this morning. It was something else. Anyway, Castor Garden is the music. Joel's the executive producer. Happy New Year, everybody.
So many great Ray rants.
Yes, they will. They are wont to happen.
It's Dan's fault. He sets it up that way. I don't come into these things wanting to do it. Dan sets me up.
He's coming in hot. No, yeah. Again, there's some stuff I went off on last night. Ray was poking the bear too, so it was
That's true.
I had some pent up energy to work out with him today.
Channel 3 is the future.